Hey everybody, I'm Andrew of the Movie Buff Pains, here with another episode of Andrew's Animation. Today I wanted to do something a little bit differently than what I've been doing in the recent days. I got a question on my last video asking if I was going to maybe go over any of the titles put out by GKIDS, and I'm very much in love with that label, and it's very intriguing. But instead of going over just a few select titles that I think are definitely worth watching, I wanted to go over the entire GKIDS collection that I have. Bethany has been handling the collection overview videos up until this point, and I decided I wanted to get in on that a little bit. So I'm going to show you our entire GKIDS collection. I've been very lucky, honestly. A lot of these have been either pickups from Walmart or secondhand stores, and even some of them Bethany was able to track down and give to me as Christmas presents. So there's a lot to go through, actually. In fact, if I'm correct, we have every one of GKIDS Blu-ray releases up to this point. Even all the back catalog and whatnot. I feel like GKIDS is a label that not as many people get into. The reason most people have ever heard of GKIDS is because they are currently the distributors of the Studio Ghibli films. And that is great that they got their hands on that collection. They were able to release some titles that Disney just refused to release. They were able to give some of them new dubbing tracks, and just all around do great releases of them. And of course I have those in the collection, but I also have everything else GKIDS has ever put out, and I'm so excited to show them off to you. I actually haven't seen every title, unfortunately. I wish I had by this point, but there are quite a few that I haven't gotten around to yet. So for those ones, I won't have as much to say, but I'll tell you what the basic plot of them is to give you an idea, and then if you're interested in them, you're always of course welcome to check them out. Normally with the movies I've seen, I tend to give a rating after I kind of talk about them, and rate it out of 5 stars. But for the GKIDS label, I enjoy all of these movies so much. Some of them are better than others, but honestly, I think every title in the GKIDS label is well worth looking at, and they're all definitely ones that should be checked out. This is almost entirely, I think it is actually entirely foreign animation, and I don't think that animation from around the world gets its due respect. Everything that we consume for the most part is American animation, and that needs to change. We all need to dip our toes into international waters in this case. So we'll go ahead and jump in. I've got everything arranged alphabetically, so no groupings or anything like that. So everything is just put in order. And the first title we have up is Another Day of Life. I haven't seen this one yet, but this was a selection from the Cannes Festival. It's about civil war in Angola. A much darker toned film for that very reason. It looks intriguing. I can't wait to check that one out. Next we have Approved for Adoption. This is actually sort of a biopic / documentary. It is about the filmmaker himself and his experience after the Korean War of being adopted by a Western family. I haven't seen this one yet, but just that basic description really intrigues me, and I can't wait to check that one out too. Then we have April and the Extraordinary World. I actually have seen this one. It was really entertaining. This takes place in an alternate history, much more steampunk. And it takes place in Paris and follows a girl who's trying to, solve a mystery. It has lots of science involved and even a little science fiction. And again, it's a steampunk setting. So if you like that kind of stuff at all, definitely worth checking out. This next title is a bit of a cheat, but GKIDS does list it under their filmography on Wikipedia, so I've elected to keep it within the collection even though it doesn't at all match the other titles. That is Azur and Asmar. This was a very early title for GKIDS, and they haven't released it in America. I'm not sure why, so I actually wound up getting this Korean Blu-ray, and it's a very nice release. As you can tell, it's very well done, and it's got a slipcover, and it does have English subtitles. It's actually a French film, so French with English, and I'm very happy to have it with the collection, honestly, because it's one that I think, they should include in the filmography, definitely, and I hope maybe one day it'll get an American release. Next up, we have BUNUEL in the Labyrinth of the Turtles. This is about a filmmaker and his journey as he works to make a documentary about a very poor area of Spain. I haven't seen this one either, but this seems to be another darker toned animated film, and I am very, very intrigued by that and can't wait to pop this one in. Then we have The Big Bad Fox and Other Tales, about a bunch of animals in the countryside and the adventures that they get up to. It looks like very cute storybook animation, and I love that style very much. And it just looks like it'll be a fun one. I, again, haven't watched this one. I know I keep saying that about a lot of these. I've got quite the backlog to work on. Next up is Bird Boy, The Forgotten Children. I have seen this one, and it was dark in a lot of ways. This was like Tim Burton, but throw in a lot more angst and depression, honestly. It was very dark, very solemn, and very creepy at points. But it was definitely worth the watch. You don't see stuff like this very often, especially something that is animated. So if you at all are into really dark and creepy style, definitely check it out. Then we have Boy and the World, a story about a boy going on a journey to reunite his family. It looks like a very colorful film. It's from Brazil. I haven't gotten a chance on this one yet either, but I definitely want to check it out soon. It was an Academy Award nominee, so that definitely intrigues me if it was that kind of caliber that the Academy recognized it, and I'm very excited to check it out. Then we've got The Breadwinner. This was another Academy Award nominee, and this is one I've actually seen. This got a lot of press because it's produced by Angelina Jolie, but really I think we should also focus a lot on the story as well. This is about a girl growing up in Afghanistan during the time when the Taliban was in power. It is a very dramatic movie, and it is definitely one to watch. I couldn't believe just how good this story was, and to watch this little girl trying to live in a world that was so suppressive, I can't even begin to imagine, and it is so worth your time if you get the chance. Next we have The Case of Hannah and Alice. I'm not as sure on this one about how it's tied in. It's either an extension of an anime or a manga, I can't remember which. But it is about a couple of girls that become friends in school, and they apparently are trying to solve a bit of a mystery. It definitely looks intriguing. I might need to look up some more info about it before I watch that one, but I will check it out one day. Next, we have our first Studio Ghibli title, and that is Castle in the Sky. I've only seen this one once before. I really need to watch it again, because I honestly don't remember a ton about it. It's been years since I watched it the first time. But from what I remember of it, it was a wonderful fantasy film, and I really did enjoy it. I just wish I could remember the plot as well, honestly. But definitely a great entry in Ghibli's catalog, and definitely one to watch if you haven't. Then we have another Academy Award nominee, and that is A Cat in Paris. This one follows a cat and the little girl who is its owner, and they both get caught up in some criminal activity quite by mistake. And it's their adventure of trying to get out of trouble. The animation is very nice, and it is a very heartwarming tale at points, as well as throwing in a bit of thrilling drama. And it is very much a good film, and I especially love anything that involves cats. Speaking of cats, another Studio Ghibli title, and that is The Cat Returns. This is a really fun one in my opinion. I just rewatched it recently, actually. It's got a killer cast. I mean, Anne Hathaway, Cary Elwes, Peter Boyle, Elliot Gould, Kristen Bell, even Tim Curry. It is a great cast, and it's a really fun, lighthearted story. I feel like I don't hear about this one as much when it comes to Ghibli films, but I'm very happy to own it and always like revisiting this one. Next up, yet another Academy Award nominee, That's the great thing about GKIDS. That's the level of stuff that they're helping get out to the world. All this stuff that is very, very good and should be recognized and awarded. But the next title is Chico and Rita. This is a story of two people who live in Cuba. They fall in love, and then it's about their lives as they drift apart and try to get back together. It is a very good story. Just a really solid story all around. Then we have another nominee, and that is Ernest and Celestine, a story of a mouse and a bear who become unlikely friends. This is also from the people that made Big Bad Fox and Other Tales, and it is very, very cute. I loved the story in this one. It was so darn adorable to watch these two become the friends that they did, and the hijinks they get up to. Very much worth your time. Next we have Extraordinary Tales. This is an anthology of Edgar Allan Poe stories with varying styles of animation, and it's got a star-studded cast like no other. I mean, we have Sir Christopher Lee, Bela Lugosi, Roger Corman, and Guillermo del Toro. This is a great piece. If you like the creepy, and if you're looking for something especially with Halloween coming closer, this is definitely one to add on to your watch list. This is really good stuff, and all the stories are really well done. Then we have Fireworks. This is a story of two kids that run away together and try to figure out how they can stay together despite all the obstacles in their way. And there's a little hint of time travel involved with that. I won't go into too much more detail. One, wouldn't want to spoil much, and two, I honestly am having a hard time remembering all the plot right now. But definitely a film to check out. I remember it being really fun and really cool, and I love the sci-fi tones to it. Another Studio Ghibli title, and that is From Up on Poppy Hill. A couple of kids becoming fast friends in school, and the journey they take together as their relationship blossoms. Very well done. I really enjoyed this one a lot, and I'll definitely have to rewatch this one again soon. I really, really enjoyed it. Next up, I hope I don't mess this title up. Forgive me if I do. This one is Funan. This is about a war in Cambodia back in the 70s. Another darker toned film. And I definitely want to check this one out soon. This one was getting mentioned in the press a bit for a while because of its topic. So I'm definitely wanting to check that one out in the near future. Then we have Genius Party and Genius Party Beyond. These are a couple of anthology films. I haven't watched them yet, but I'm very much like anthologies like this because you get such a variety of stories, animation styles, great characters, and just great storytelling all around. Next we have The Girl Without Hands. This is an excellent film. I will say that much. The animation style is so unique. It's like hand-drawn or painted looking, and it is very minimalist and yet very detailed at the same time, and it is a wonderful story. It's about a girl who gets sold to the devil, and the devil takes her hands, if you didn't guess by that title right there. It is a much darker toned film with some lighthearted moments, and it was very good. Definitely recommend checking that one out. Next, another Ghibli title, and that is Howl's Moving Castle. This is probably one of my favorite entries from Ghibli. It is a fantastic film, and so full of life and energy, a beautiful fantasy world, and great characters as well. If somehow you haven't seen this one, definitely go and check it out. I think it's one of Miyazaki's best. Definitely up there. Then we have yet another Ghibli title, and that is Kiki's Delivery Service. This one is a great blend of real world with fantasy, in my opinion. I love it very much. It is such a cute film. Very dear to my heart, and definitely another favorite from the Ghibli catalog. This next one was actually one of my first experiences with GKIDS titles. It wasn't my first purchase, but it was one of the first ones from their label that I actually watched, and that is A Letter to Momo. This was a really heartwarming film about a girl who has lost her father and trying to reconcile and move on from that experience. And it involves the three spirits who wind up trying to help her move on as well. Really well done, really heartwarming at a lot of points, and definitely worth your time. Next up is Lou Over the Wall. This is a film from Masaki Yuasa, one of his more recent entries actually. Bethany and I actually got to see this one at Sundance. It was really interesting, about a boy who discovers a mermaid and the unlikely friendship that comes from that, and the fantastic adventures that take place with getting to know a mermaid. Really interesting movie for sure. It is crazy at points. It is fantastical to no end. I think most all of Yuasa's films are like that. Really fun to watch, honestly. So definitely worth checking out. Next we have Mary and the Witch's Flower. This was a really nice freshman entry from Studio Ponic. I'm really looking forward to what they'll put out for feature-length films in the future. It was definitely a good first entry. Lots of fantasy in here and good characters. Definitely a fun piece. Definitely worth checking out. Next up, this title is just 4 letters. The 4 letters do stand for something, and that is Motherfuckers. This is a crazy film. The thing is, I don't think I totally appreciated it upon my original watch. I haven't gotten a chance to rewatch it yet, but I just remember that this was crazy. The characters are all over the top. I honestly don't remember a lot of the plot. I was a little tired when I watched this one, honestly. But I will have to give it another try, because it really did seem intriguing, and I hope that I'll get some more enjoyment out of it the next time around. But I'm sure it is definitely well worth the time as well. Another entry from Masaki Yuasa, and that is Mind Game. This is considered his best film. It's also considered a really amazing animated film just overall. And I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but I will definitely have to. This is up near the top of my backlog list for watching, so I'm very interested to check it out. I really don't know what it's about, but I feel like that might be a little bit of a good thing going in for this particular film. So if you've seen it, let me know what you think. If you've seen it, let me know what you thought of it, because I'm definitely intrigued by this, but it definitely also seems daunting at the same time. Next is an entry from Mamoru Hosoda. This man is like the up and coming in my eyes. He is the next Miyazaki in a lot of ways. His films have been so good in my opinion. I mean, we've had the likes of Girl Who Leapt Through Time, Summer Wars, Boy and the Beast, Wolf Children, all great films. This one is his latest entry, and that is Mirai. Is a fantastic film. Really tugs at your heartstrings. This is about a little boy who's about to become a big brother for the first time, and it is him trying to cope and come to terms with the fact that maybe being a big brother won't be so bad. And it involves all sorts of characters like the family dog, his dead great-grandfather, and even his actual little sister from the future. It is a great film, and again, really touching and heartwarming all around. Definitely worth the time. Next up is Miss Hokusai. This is about a young woman who paints under her father's name so that her work is allowed and appreciated. This takes place back in the day in Japan, and it is a beautiful film. The artwork throughout is quite amazing, and it was a very interesting story, to say the least. From Studio Ponic, we got a series of short films called Modest Heroes. This is a small anthology with a few shorts, all very unique in their own rights, mixed with a mixture of fantasy and reality throughout. And it is a really wonderful collection. Again, Studio Ponic is doing great work to start off with, and I can't wait to see what they do in the future. Next we have Moon, Guardian of the Moon. This is about a young spirit who is given control over the moon and has to be its caretaker. But this was a really cute film, definitely unique, a little more kiddie in my opinion, but it is definitely still enjoyable. Then we have My Entire High School Sinking into the Sea, and it is about a group of students who must literally escape from their sinking high school. And I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. It's got this hand-drawn animation that's really intriguing to me, and I honestly want to watch this one pretty soon. It sounds great to me, honestly. Can't wait to check that one out. Up next, another Oscar nominee, and that is My Life as a Zucchini. This is a claymation film. We don't get as many of these anymore. This one is a really good one, about a little boy who's an orphan and his journey to being able to find friendship, love, and a new family. It was a really wonderful film, definitely worth the time it takes to watch it. Up next, another Ghibli title. This one honestly might be my favorite of Ghibli's releases, and that is My Neighbor Totoro. This is such a fun, cute, heartwarming film all around. The characters are just adorable. Totoro is amazing. This is a great fairy tale, and I can't get enough of this film, honestly. It is just that good. If you somehow have not seen this movie, go watch it right now. Then we get another Ghibli title, and that is My Neighbors the Yamadas. This is actually one of the few titles I haven't watched yet. I really need to get around to that. But it is just sort of a slice of life story from what I've heard, involving this family, the Yamadas, and I do like those kind of stories, so I'm very interested to check this one out. If you've seen this one, let me know what you think of it, because I never hear anyone talk about this particular Ghibli title, so I would like to know if anyone's got any, opinions on it. This next one is the only live action entry in the entire GKIDS library, and that is Neverending Man Hayao Miyazaki. This is a documentary about the man, the myth, the legend, the amazing creator of Studio Ghibli. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but you better believe I will soon, because this man has brought a lot of happiness to my life and a lot of happiness to a lot of people's lives. So I'll definitely want to know more about him. Next we have Napping Princess. This involves a girl who is very much a daydreamer, and her dreams start to leak into reality and vice versa, and it is very interesting for sure. I definitely need to give this one another watch. I don't remember a lot about it, but what I do remember of it, I thought it was interesting for sure. Then we get another Ghibli title, that is Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. This was a great fantasy film. Everything about it was just amazing, and it just screams Ghibli all across the board, and I really enjoyed this one. I've only seen it the once, but it definitely stuck with me, and I definitely need to give this one another watch. Next we have another title from Masaki Yuasa. This one is actually my favorite of his so far, and that is The Night is Short, Walk On Girl. This one is very much more based in reality with fantasy elements mixed in, about a girl wandering the city at night and all the adventures and hijinks she gets up to. It is crazy and over the top at times, but it is definitely well worth the watch. I really enjoyed this film a lot. Another one of my early exposures to GKIDS, and that is Nocturna. This is a very cute film about a boy who is introduced to the world of the night, where all the creatures and people who help keep the night running and peaceful. It was a very good film all around. Maybe a little more kiddie, but definitely worth the watch. I really enjoy this film a lot. Another Ghibli title, this is one of the reasons I'm happy that GKIDS took over their library, and that is Ocean Waves. This was a TV movie. It revolves around young people in their school days, and I remember being very frustrated with this film. Maybe not the film itself, but the characters. It seemed like very frustrating situations they were involved in. So maybe not my favorite of the library, but definitely still worth a watch. I mean, it is a Ghibli title. It does have some good parts to it. I just remember being very frustrated myself. Next we have Oko's Inn. This was a really cute one in my opinion. It's a little girl who starts working at an inn and she meets some spirits that reside at the inn. It was very cute and very fun to watch, and it has some pretty dramatic tones to it, but they all wrap together very nicely. This is a very good film, definitely one to watch. The other reason I'm happy GKIDS now has Ghibli, that is Only Yesterday. Disney wouldn't release this just because there's like a 2-minute scene where girls are talking about getting their periods. Really? We can't handle that in our movies? I mean, come on, Disney. Give everyone a little more credit. But this is a very good film. I very much enjoyed it. A great look at how we revisit our own pasts, and I very much connect with that, honestly. A very good film. Then we have The Painting. This actually involves characters within paintings interacting with other paintings. It is a really cool story and really fun and beautifully illustrated too. The different styles of paintings there are throughout it is really wonderful. It's a really good entry. One of the earlier ones from GKIDS, but definitely worth a watch. Next we have Patema Inverted. This is about a boy and a girl who come from different parts of the world where there are alternate gravities. And that's intriguing in itself. A great science fiction story right there, I think. Watching these two try to interact when either of them could fall down or up and just be gone, it is really, really something, honestly. And it is a very cute story. Next up, a title from Satoshi Kon. This man made some amazing films. I wish he hadn't passed just so we could have more of them. But the ones he gave us are phenomenal. This one is probably his best work too, and I think that's pretty much universally agreed by people. And that is Perfect Blue. This is an amazing psychological thriller. If you like Black Swan, check this one out. It is phenomenal. It is so well done. I mean, I really can't get enough of this one. It is that good. It is an amazing story. As a young woman gains more and more celebrity status, her life begins to slowly crumble around her mentally, and it is so intriguing, and you can't take your eyes off the screen for 1 second lest you miss something. Then we have Phantom Boy. This is from the same people that did Cat in Paris. I haven't watched this one yet, but it looks very, very cool. It's about a boy who realizes he has the ability to leave his own body and kind of float around like a ghost. And that sounds really cool, and I can't wait to check this one out. Another Ghibli title, and that is Pompoko. I don't hear a lot of people talk about this one as much. One of their lesser known ones, kind of. But it's about the tanuki, or raccoon dogs. Never had heard of these creatures before I watched this, but apparently they are a much known creature in Japan. And it was a really fun story. I mean, especially with all these animals, it was really cute and a lot of fun to watch. Again from Ghibli, we have Ponyo, their take on the story of The Little Mermaid. And this is an adorable film. This is another favorite. Can't get enough of it. It is very well done, especially for one of Ghibli's newer titles, and it is a real heartwarming tale all around. Another Ghibli, and that is Porco Rosso. I feel like this one's not talked about very much either. You got a man who looks like a pig and flies around in a plane playing around with sky pirates. I mean, that is pretty darn intriguing to me. I have watched this one, and I thought it was pretty darn good. I'm surprised that I don't hear more about it, honestly. Definitely worth checking out. This one is considered one of Ghibli's best films, and that is Princess Mononoke. I've only watched this once, and maybe I missed something, or maybe I didn't pay attention enough, which is a real shame, because from what I do remember, this was a really intriguing story, but maybe it didn't sink in enough for me. I gotta give this one another watch or 2 or 3 probably. But I definitely felt like I was enjoying myself, so I think I just need to really sit down, pay attention, and just soak it all in again. But everything that I do remember of it, definitely like it. Next we have Promare. This is about a world where there are mutants that can spontaneously combust and cause fires, and it follows one of the high-tech fire departments that is sent to contain those fires. It was over-the-top, crazy, fantastic. It was an assault on the senses, but I loved every minute of it. It was a really, really fun film. If you haven't checked it out yet, definitely go find it. It is a real joy to watch, honestly. Then we have Khalil Gibran's The Prophet. This one I haven't watched yet, but I definitely feel like I should soon. And it looks very intriguing. A little more serious tone, various styles of animation, and it looks like it'll be a very good story, honestly. One of GKIDS' earlier titles, and that is The Rabbi's Cat. This is about a cat who gains the ability to speak. So what does he do? Complain about not being fed or that his nap is being interrupted? No, his first instinct is to question his owner's religious beliefs. Why do I feel like a cat might actually do that if it were given the option? This cat just literally goes around and is asking very hard questions about faith that most religious people don't want to have to think about, honestly. So it was a very intriguing film and definitely worth a watch if you can find it. It is a unique story to say the least, and the cat, of course, steals the show through the whole thing. Up next is Ride Your Wave. This is the newest entry from GKIDS, and it's another Masaki Yuasa film. And it is really good, a lot more grounded than his other ones, but still has fantasy elements to it, definitely. It involves a couple of young people who fall in love, and the tragedy that comes between them forces them to figure out what the next step in their lives is. Definitely worth checking out, a really good film, honestly. Anything from Yuasa is honestly really good from what I've heard or from what I've seen, and this is definitely one to check out. This is the one TV show that GKIDS has helped put out, and that is because Studio Ghibli helped produce it, and that is Ronya, the Robber's Daughter. I've watched several episodes of this so far, and it has been really fun. Set kind of back during a sort of medieval era, kind of Robin Hood-esque, involving a little girl growing up in a den of thieves. And what I've watched so far is very intriguing, just following this little girl as she grows up and it has to try and learn about the world and kind of realize what's right and what's wrong. I very much enjoy it so far. Can't wait to watch the rest of it. Then we have Satellite Girl and Milk Cow. I really don't know what this movie is about, but it has a satellite that becomes a girl, a boy who becomes a cow, and Merlin is in it, but he is a roll of toilet paper. Yeah, I don't really understand it either, but it sounds crazy and over the top, and I'm sure I will check it out in the future. If you have somehow seen this one, let me know what you think. This was the movie that really put GKIDS on the map of animation. Another Oscar nominee, and that is The Secret of Kells. This is a gorgeous film. The animation is amazing, the story is great. I love Celtic stuff, it really is so cool. And it is so well done all around. This was the first time they got to the Academy Awards, and this was their first major hit. And it is wonderful. I really enjoy this film a lot. Another Ghibli title, and that is The Secret World of Arrietty. Great fantasy elements to it, and it is really beautifully animated as well. Definitely a great entry for the more modern Ghibli films. From the people that brought us The Secret of Kells, they brought us also Song of the Sea. This was another one that was dipped in Celtic legend, but in a more modern day setting, and it is a wonderful, wonderful fairy tale. Very well done. I don't know quite how to put into words everything it's about, and the same could be said for Secret of Kells, since I didn't really tell you much about that either, but those two movies you have to check out. The company, Cartoon Saloon, does amazing work. They are very good stories. I can't wait for their next feature to come out, which is called Wolfwalkers, but the problem is that Apple bought it for their streaming service. So don't know if that's ever going to come out physically, but I do have some hope. GKIDS has the theatrical rights, so that means that they'll probably have a limited theatrical release before it goes to Apple's service. So I don't know, if GKIDS can have the theatrical rights, maybe they'll convince Apple somehow to maybe let them do a limited pressing on Blu-ray. I sure hope so. I hate when animation is only confined to streaming, honestly. I try to have it physically when I can. Considered by just about everyone, hands down the best Ghibli film and one of the best animated films ever made, and of course, if you probably guessed it, that is Spirited Away. This film, I can't even begin to describe. It is amazing, it is wonderful, it is fantastical, it is everything you could want from a story, just about, and it is beautiful too. The detail, the scenery, the characters, everything about this is just peak Ghibli, and it is phenomenal. That's what all I can really say about it. It is phenomenal. If somehow that has not gotten on your radar, which I find it hard to believe, but if that happened, you need to check that one out immediately. That is first and foremost the most important animated film you could watch. Going from that, we have Summer Days with Ku. A boy finds a mythical creature and helps it to find its way back to its own kind. It looks like it's a very cute film. I haven't had the chance yet, but I definitely like these kind of movies where you have little bits of fantasy thrown into reality. So I'm very interested to check it out. Another Ghibli title, and that is The Tale of the Princess Kaguya. This is a really good film. I don't know how many people have seen this one, but it is a wonderful film. It has this hand-drawn look that is gorgeous. I will say it's a long film. I think it clocks in at almost 2.5 hours, but it is well worth your time if you get the opportunity to watch this. It is a beautiful story, beautiful animation, and just really good. Really good. Another Ghibli title, we have Tales from Earthsea. I haven't watched this one yet. I've heard it's Ghibli's worst, honestly, which has kind of left me not wanting to watch it and see the results, but I really do need to give it a chance. If you've seen it, let me know what you think, but I'll definitely check this one out in the near future. Then we have Tales of the Night. This is a movie done in the style of shadow puppetry. It has wonderfully colorful backgrounds, but all the characters are black silhouettes. And it's a sort of anthology as well. And it is really good. It was really fun. It's such a unique style to do a film in, and I really enjoyed it. Another movie from Satoshi Kon, and that is Tokyo Godfathers. This is an excellent film. 3 homeless people discover a baby at Christmas. Definitely worth checking out. This is a new 4K transfer, along with a new dubbing track, I believe, as well. I had the Australian Blu-ray of this before, and the picture was just decent, and the dub wasn't bad. But I'm definitely looking forward to checking out a much better looking version of that film. Next up is A Town Called Panic, The Collection. This is 2 films, and they're done with stop motion, and very unique. It looks to be done with toys and figurines, so I'm very intrigued by the idea behind that. This is an earlier entry from GKIDS that just got released recently onto Blu-ray, and so I'm very much interested to check out some of their earlier picks that got them into the animation circuit. Next up is Welcome to the Space Show. This is a ride, to say the least. A group of kids meet an alien who looks like an Earth dog and are taken out on an adventure through the galaxy. And it is quite the movie, to say the least. When I first watched it, I was not sure what I was watching. It was just everywhere. Upon my rewatch of it a while back, I realized, wow, this has actually got some good story behind it and is very, very entertaining. So maybe you won't get everything the first time around, but it's definitely worth checking out and possibly rewatching. It is a real fun film. Another Ghibli title, and that is When Marnie Was There. I don't hear a lot about this one, honestly, from people, and this is a really good film, a real sweet film about a girl who meets another girl who may or may not be real, just depends, and it is a really good story all around. And it definitely had me a little misty-eyed at the end, honestly. It was a touching story, to say the least. This is the last Ghibli title I have for you, and that is Whisper of the Heart. And it is a really good, heartfelt movie from Ghibli. I have to say that I think the quirkiest thing about it is the fact that it's got that West Virginia song. I don't ever know the title, but I think you know the song I'm talking about when I say West Virginia, but definitely worth checking out. One of their more grounded entries and really good. Then we have White Snake. This is a Chinese film based off one of their legends, and it was really fun. It was a really entertaining film. A boy falls in love with a snake spirit, and it is really interesting to see the lengths gone to for their love to survive. And it is really beautifully animated and real fun to watch. Definitely worth checking out if you get the chance. The last piece of the alphabet here is Zarafa. This is a really good film. Very touching and heartfelt and beautifully animated, and all around a good story about a boy and a giraffe that get ripped from their homes and taken to England, of all places. It is really a wonderful movie. If you can find this one, get it. It is so worth the watch. Really, really good movie. That's it for the main collection, but I do have a few other ones just to show off. The first is actually one of the Ghibli collector's editions that they put out, and the one I have is My Neighbor Totoro. This has an art book and the soundtrack and the movie. It is a beautiful release, very nice, well put together, and I got this at Target of all places. I usually only see these at like specialty stores, but I found it at a Target for a really good deal. So I was really excited to get this, especially since Totoro is like one of my favorites to come out of Ghibli, and very happy to have that in the collection. I have two more to show you, and these ones are actually custom-made Blu-rays. I do pretty basic work when it comes to doing my own Blu-rays, but I was really happy with how at least the covers turned out on these ones. These are a couple of titles that GKIDS has in their filmography, but have never been released in America on Blu-ray. In fact, one of them has never been released physically, like, at all, as far as I know, or it was very limited. The first one I have to show you is a movie called Wrinkles. This is one that has a British release, but I went ahead and decided to do my own version. I tried to copy the GKIDS style as much as I could. I'm pretty good when it comes to the front and the spines. The back's just more pictures and words though, nothing official looking. But I'm very happy with how it turned out. And I have the movie on a BDR in the case, and so I can pop that in and watch it whenever I want. The other title I have is actually GKIDS' first animated film, the one that kicked them into the world of animation, and that is Sita Sings the Blues. This one actually entered the public domain, so GKIDS doesn't have the rights to it anymore. But I still want to count it just because it was the first animated film they ever distributed. And again, this is one that I did a pretty good job on the cover and the spine, and just kind of basic work on the back. But I was really happy with how it turned out. Again, I have the movie on a BDR in the case, so I can pop that in and watch it. And I'm excited to check it out too. I want to see where they started. Well, that's everything I have to show you for our GKIDS collection. I'm so excited I got to show it to you too. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I sure hope that I gave you guys some ideas on some movies to check out. I'm hoping that there were some interesting titles for you. International animation is definitely something that everyone should dip into, because we just have so much animation here in America that all feels very the same. So getting to look at different stories, unique characters, and different styles of animation from around the world is such a great way to experience some of the other cultures that are out there. Thank you again for watching. I hope you enjoyed yourselves, and I hope you found some titles that you're interested in going out and finding. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit that little bell for the notifications, and we will see you on the next video.